Hello and welcome back to New Day Church. This is Pastor Ricky, and I'm presenting a study called The Father's House. This is session 2. If you haven't watched session 1, it's important for you to go back and watch that real quick. It's about 4 minutes, and you can hear the scripture there. I want to focus on Haggai chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. And in there, we find that the Lord is speaking to two different individuals. He's speaking to Zerubbabel, who is the governor of Judah, and he's also speaking to Jeshua, or it's another way of saying Joshua, son of Jehozadak, the high priest. So he's talking to two different men that represent the government and represent the religious elite of the community, or we could say represent the house of God. Now, when God speaks, He doesn't just speak to part of us. He doesn't just speak to our spiritual side. He speaks to every part of us. And today, I know that many of us are at home, probably more than we planned to be in a long time. And maybe there was a little bit of a novelty to that. Some people are calling this the Corona vacation, and that is kind of already wearing off. I don't know about for you, but for our family. Because you see, like many, when our kids went on their spring break, we thought they were going to go right back a week later. And now, we're several weeks into this already and maybe looking at several more weeks. So when God is speaking to us, He's not just speaking to us on our spiritual side or the church side. He speaks to every part of us. And that's really where I want to talk to you today. You see, as we adjust to this kind of temporary life as normal, I want God to speak to every part of us. You see, He sees every part of us. He sees the worries and the fears. He sees the triumph and the tears. He sees our highs and He sees our lows. He cares about us. He cares about our jobs. He cares about our marriages. He cares about our kids. He cares about the grandkids. He cares about the church. He cares about our physical well-being, and He cares about the parts that we don't even want to share with Him. There's a story that's told to me a couple of weeks ago by my son Joe, who is an evangelist, and it's a great story, and I would love to share it with you. There was a wealthy man, and he owned a very large house with about 20 rooms in the house spread out over 2 stories. There were all kinds of bedrooms and bathrooms, a game room, a TV room, a billiards room, and so many other rooms. It was the kind of house that a kid could spend hours playing hide and seek in. But one day he heard a knock at the door, and he opened up his app and he saw through his app and his little camera that there was a man standing in the door with a long robe and long hair and a beard, and he thought, I wonder who that is. And he opened the door, and it was Jesus. He was so excited. He invited Jesus into his home, and he gave Jesus the master suite with its own private lush bathroom and sitting room and closet. He was just so happy to have Jesus in his house. After Jesus had gone to bed that night, the man heard another knock at his front door. And he checked his app again, and he couldn't quite tell who was there. It was a little dark. So he opened up the door to see who was there, and none other than the devil was standing in front of him. He quick recognized the devil and tried to shut the door, but the devil got his foot in his door, and he couldn't get him out. The devil pushed his way through, came in and began to torment the man. He broke his things, he broke his lamps, he threw the furniture all over the place, and all night long this wealthy man fought the devil to get him out. At first light, the devil ran out the back door just as Jesus came down the steps. The man saw Jesus coming down and said, "Didn't you hear what was happening down here, Lord? Why didn't you come and kick the devil out of my house?" Jesus lovingly looked at the man and said, "Oh, you only gave me your master bedroom. It's nice, but I'm just a guest here." The man said, Okay, Jesus, I tell you what, I'm going to give you the whole upstairs. That's 10 rooms of my house. I'm going to give that to you. And Jesus said, "Thank you," and had breakfast with the man, and they went through their day. Late that night, after Jesus had gone upstairs, the devil came knocking again. The man opened the door Why would he do that? But he did. And the devil slammed him back and came in the house and began to torment him again. And all night long, the devil told him lies and told him all kinds of stuff and threw things at him. And then finally, at the first light, he ran out the back door just as Jesus, you guessed it, was coming down the steps. The man was now a little upset with Jesus. Didn't you hear Jesus? Didn't you see that? Didn't anything register? And Jesus said, I'm so sorry, but you only gave me the upstairs of your house to use. I'm still a guest here. The man, exhausted, said, fine, Jesus. I give you 19 of my rooms in my house. You can have all of them but one room. That room's a little messy, and there's some things I really don't want you to see in there. Jesus said thank you, had toast and jam with him, and they went through their day. That night, the man was exhausted. And after Jesus had gone into another room to retire, he heard another knock at the door. And the man went to the door, dreading who might be there. But he opened the door again. Can you believe it? This time, the devil slammed him back again. And he came in and he threw lies and accusations and torments and all kinds of stuff at this guy. The man fought and he made noise, but he still couldn't get the devil out until early morning light. He ran out the back door just as Jesus came out of the kitchen. And the man, bloody and beaten, cried out, Lord, Lord, why didn't you do anything? And he said, you call me Lord, but yet you still treat me as a guest. The man cried out desperately, Jesus, forgive me, please. Here's the deed to my house. It's all yours. You can have it all. And with that, the wealthy man signed over his house to Jesus. And Jesus paid the full price to have the man's house. That day, the man took a long nap until night fell and another knock at the door. Can you believe it? The man went up to get to the door, and as he reached his hand for the knob, another hand came around his, and a voice said, don't worry, I've got this. And the man looked over, and there was Jesus smiling at him. And he backed away as Jesus stepped up and flung the door wide open. And shocking the devil looked at Jesus and said, I wasn't expecting you. And then he looked at the door, and he looked at the number, and he looked back at Jesus. He looked at the number, he looked back at Jesus, and then he slowly crept away, saying, I guess I've got the wrong house. And Jesus shut the door on the devil in that man's life as the devil fled. When we give Jesus only part of our house, when we give him only part of us, the enemy can still wreak havoc in our lives. But if you will surrender your entire house, all of you, every part of it, Jesus will come and take ownership. If you haven't done that today, I want to encourage you to release your life to the Lord. Say, Jesus, forgive me of my sins. I give you my life. You can have all of me, Jesus, all of me. He will take all of you and give you such peace and joy like you've never known before. Hey, thanks so much for being with us today. We'll see you again soon.